Hello, welcome to Australian Book Travels and welcome to the Victorian country town of Newstead. We are currently in a little park on the outskirts of Newstead. My intention is to go behind the camera and take you for a walk around the main streets and around some of the back streets as well. Newstead is approximately 55 kilometres south of Bendigo and around about 150 kilometres north of Melbourne. That's very approximate. The population here is approximately 570, I think. And was really developed in the time of the gold rush, so around about the 1840s, 1850s. But I will give you more details as we walk around town. Okay, I'll go behind the camera now and we'll just take a walk around and I'll give you the historical details. Okay, I hope you enjoy it. See you on the other side. We have just walked around about 500 metres from the park that we have just left, and I've walked toward town. We are walking on the main road toward town and thought that it may interest you to view this section of the road. This is the rural transaction centre. So op shop, usually library, meeting rooms, cafes, things like that. Yes, we have just walked past the sign. I'll just show you that. And there's a men's shed as well. Now there is a school, an historic school, on our left, but I cannot film that yet because there are children playing outside in the school ground, and I really do not want to be hauled into the police station if I am seen videoing the school. So if I can, once the children go in to their classes, I can video that for you. But I will not for now. We'll just leave that for a minute. Okay, so there is an old telephone box. Good grief. And a truck. Gosh, it's making quite a racket. It's a lovely old road there. Now this is the Post and Telegraph Office, the original. And I have a sneaky suspicion this is from around about 1857, but I will confirm that for you. So this is the Post and Telegraph Office and the postmaster's home attached to it. As you can see, there's quite a bit of traffic. Today is, what is today? Tuesday. But there's quite a bit of traffic. We have a church to go and view over there, and then we have this lovely home here. Good grief, there is a bit of traffic. We just in the distance there, right in the centre of the screen, that is the main retail area, I guess you could say, the main part of the town centre. There's this beautiful home here. No doubt that is from either the late 1800s or early 1900s. If I can get some details for you, I will. But you see the 3 chimney stacks there. Likely they are double chimney stacks. Well, at least 2 of them perhaps are double. The one here right at the front is likely to be a single. And we have our wonderful police station and our police. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for doing what you do for us. And another street. We will walk down these streets in due course. I'm just trying to take you down the main street first. We'll just have a look at these beautiful homes coming into the town. Now, this is lovely. I am a little partial to weatherboards. We live in a weatherboard home ourselves. There's just something Australian about the weatherboard home. And country, I think, as well. It really signifies the Australian country. Another beautiful brick home. I have no doubt that's probably perhaps 1880s or early 1900s. I very much put my reputation on that being around about 1880, but I could be wrong, and then my reputation is ruined. Okay, so there's this. Now this is very much looking like they were stable doors. I will have to find out for you what that was. It may have been an old fire station. Nope, it's not telling me. That little news board there is not telling me what it was. It's definitely a substantial building. Okay, there's some lovely buildings across the road that we will have to investigate, and we'll keep on. Before we go any further into town, I may just drop down here on the road and we will walk across and investigate this lovely. This looks as though it was a dual accommodation, or possibly 2 little shops. I'm risking it by perhaps suggesting that was always just 2 little cottages, I think, connected. Out there, obviously a little derelict now, which is a shame, because we lose our history if we don't keep these buildings in order. And they really are. I mean, there's craftsmanship in even the most simple of buildings. They just do not build them like they used to. We have a lovely little fence here, and then we're onto this building, which is interesting, and it looks as though it is inhabited. Good morning. So there's this one here. which is interesting. Looking a little Art Deco with the rounded mantles over the doors and windows. So it is possible that that is 1930s, 1940s, although it may have been renovated. We can see the supports over the door there, the what looks to be two S's, the letter S. So it may have been an old coach house or an old inn, and then the facade has been renovated in the 30s, possibly. I'm only guessing there. We can see there is a difference in the front. You can see there's a front facade there and then the weatherboard at the back. So it's anybody's guess, really. That's what I love about walking around and not always having the full history of a place, because you can oftentimes make some educated guesses just by looking at the building. And this is a lucerne tree, what they call lucerne. This is used for foraging. They're really good in times of drought. Not only are they drought tolerant, but they are good food source for cattle and horses, actually. So that's a lucerne tree. Okay, we will just walk up here a little bit and then I will take you back down to the main street. Actually, before we do that, how about if we pop on over to this church? I forgot actually that we'd walked so far from our original location. So let's have a look at this first and go through here. Oh, nice old squeaky gate. And I'm not sure if you can hear that bird. It's like a little tick. They are our pardalotes. I will try and put a photo of one inset into the video for you. Can you hear it? It's a tick 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 type sound. Anyway, if you can't hear it, you're probably all thinking I'm mad. Right, let's have a look. But I can promise you there's a pardalote in the tree, and it is calling. Okay, there's the bell. So perhaps this was this side entrance, and that was the front entrance. So what does that bell say? Oh, the bell is 1949. I'm wondering when the church was built. I'm looking for a foundation stone. It too needs a little bit of renovation. Let's have a look. We're going right round the back here. Ooh, that looks a little bit like it's being lived in. Oops, perhaps we've walked onto someone's property. That's a bit embarrassing. We're going to have to walk away. Just back away slowly, people. Nothing to see here. I'm fairly sure that somebody's home, and I was a little suspicious when we came through the gate because there wasn't a sign to say that it was a particular church. So let's back away and pretend that never happened. But at least you had a view up close of the church. Okay. That never happened, everyone. We'll just keep walking. So I'll go back to the original location where the car is, and then I will take you further into town. So as I was walking back to the car, which is parked behind us and around a corner, I noticed that the school children have gone back inside for their classes. So I feel far more comfortable now videoing this old school. Now I don't have the history on it, but we will get it. I'm thinking around about the 1940s perhaps. maybe even part of it a little older. Those windows are looking fairly much like a 1940s sash window that they used a lot in the schools in Australia, or particularly in Victoria. But there it is. So that's the primary school. A little updated now with the shade sails, but a lovely bit of open ground for the children to play in, which is lovely. Okay, back we go, and I will continue with the rest of the town for you. Okay, so we are back where we finished just a few minutes ago. We're back in the main street. This building here is where we finished. That is the main street down there. And then, if you remember, we had a look at those two little cottages there, and we walked back toward the school. So let's resume our walk here. I will take you down one side of the street, and then we will walk up the other side. I am strongly suggesting that this was a bank. Now, it appears to be a private residence, but that would have been a bank, and I will get those details for you. Oftentimes I research a town before I take you along with me, but it's sometimes very difficult to get the details, and I have to do more a deeper lot of researching, which takes time. And other times I just forget. Sometimes I do my research and I do my swatting, and then I forget the details because I'm usually working quite a lot in a lot of towns for you, and rather than trying to remember, I would rather have the actual facts for you as much as possible anyway. So that's Newstead Butchers, and there it is. This is where we have walked so far. Now, the shops in Newstead have changed. Like many towns, they change ownership and businesses. This one here, this black building in front, that was a beautiful cafe and home decor, and you could sit out to the left of the building there. You could sit outside and have breakfast or brunch. It was lovely, but that is no longer. I think that may have ceased operation since COVID, because we did experience harsh lockdown here in Victoria. I think it's, forgive me if I'm wrong, but I'm fairly sure we had the harshest lockdown in the world, certainly in Australia. But I would not be far wrong if I said that it was the harshest in the world. We were locked down for a very long time. I think it was around about 18 months or something. So, and masks were worn outside of that time. So I think it really did affect a lot of businesses, sadly. But anyway, this is the Dig Cafe, which is lovely. And you can stand here and have your coffees. Now, I have just spotted something. If any of you have been watching the channel for as long as it has been in operation, you will all know that this is the Anise and George Bill's horse troughs, the water troughs that were donated in, there's a dog water trough there. They were donated in around about 1927 at the bequest of Anise and George Bills after their passing. They allotted funds for approximately 500 of the horse troughs to be donated around Victoria. Oh, that was a big hay truck that just went past us. Yes, they were donated around Victoria and New South Wales, so that the welfare of horses and dogs in each town was they were looked after. So that was lovely. Okay, swimming pool over there. Every little town in Australia usually has its swimming pool and public conveniences, which is lovely. You know that you can go places and not have to worry about not being able to wash your hands or attend to other powdering your nose and things like that. And of course the swimming pools are a necessity over here in Australia, because it is our summers are long and they are hot often. So each town usually has a swimming pool of sorts. Now I think this is now a local supermarket, but I am fairly sure at one point it was a local hotel. So you can see that walking behind us there. And this one, we actually have a notice here. This is the Mechanics Institute, which began in 1855. Hang on. What does that say? I do not have my spectacles on, everyone. So it could be... Okay, this building is 1868. Oh, yes, and if I had taken the opportunity to actually look above, it does say AD 1868. So there it is, the Mechanics Institute. And the community centre, AD 1995, just a little difference in age. Okay, now this looks to me as though, yes, that's right. We have been to Newstead on many occasions, so although I wouldn't say that I'm very au fait with the area, but we are with the layout of the town. So this is the boot store, what was the boot store. It is now a private home. And there are a couple of other... for all you vehicle enthusiasts, look how sweet that is. Now, I could imagine my two dogs in the back with their heads sticking out of the window. I really would love an old car. They have such... they're just really lovely looking. They have classic outlines, I think. Okay, we have these... truck going past. Good grief. Oh, that was loud. Now this here is the shambles. These would have been little shops. And I think I remember a long time ago being told by one of the owners, and I could be wrong here, my memory may fail me, but I'm fairly sure, I'm sure one of you may be able to tell me, but I'm fairly sure that one or two of these were like an embroidery and haberdashery shop, which would make sense. I mean, they're little on the edge of town there. And this one may have been an inn, I think, this brick building here. Okay, I will give you a view of those buildings from a distance when we walk across the road. Okay, there's a men's shed. I hope I don't get squashed. How lovely is that? There are some ironworks being sold. Okay, so these are the buildings from across the road with our lovely cute little car there and the bootmaker. That's the men's shed. And this is Givon Mills. Now, Givoni Mills. Now, that's bringing back memories. The foundation stone was laid in 1947. I am fairly sure that those little shops that we passed were haberdashery, because this is a mill, and I'm not sure whether that was a thread mill or a wool mill, or whether it was a flour mill. I'll get back to you on that. We'll do the research on that one, but it would make sense if it was some sort of fabric mill or thread mill, considering I am fairly sure that the other little shops were haberdashery and so forth. But anyway, we'll check it out. I'm probably way off the mark. And of course, this is still a pub, the Crown Hotel. There it is. They're still going strong, thank goodness. We are, like a lot of places, Australia is losing its pubs, which is a shame. And particularly in the country, it's losing a lot of its pubs, and really where the community goes to catch up after a hard day farming, and the wives and children all get together, and unfortunately we're losing them all. Okay, so we have what is now a milk bar. And news agency. We'll just go back, have a look at that. Some of the old buildings. There is the Dig Cafe on the corner there, the blue building. Oh, those trucks. So, a lot of these buildings would have been shops and inns, and I think from memory, reading a long time ago, I think Newstead had around about 4 or 5 hotels, and the same with churches. I think it had 4 or 5 churches, and they were the mainstay of society. The church and the hotels. You drink all week and then repent for your sins on the Sunday at your church. Okay, so that's the main street. I'm hoping that I've shown you a good amount there and given you a basic idea of what the main street looks like. Now let's have a look in the side streets. Always worth walking in the back streets of any town, because I have just walked that distance, which, let me see, maybe 300 metres, in what would fairly much be a not a very impressive or super street, and driven up to here, and look what we have found. The old post office, 1863. So the one that we saw earlier is obviously a later edition, and this one was from 1863. With now it's a home, but it would have had accommodation, postmaster accommodation. So we'll just go around the corner. Now, what attracted me to this originally was the chimneys, and that obviously indicates age, particularly here in Australia. So this is the view that we saw driving along, and I thought, oh, that clearly is lovely. I'd like to video that. And as you just saw, getting out of the car, we came across the sign. So there's the old post office, everyone, for Newstead, which is strange actually, because it is quite a distance from that main town centre. You would think that the original post office would have been located in the original main road. It is possible, and I will check it for you, but it is possible that the main road we have just been down was not the original main road. That can happen too in any town, but we find that here in Australia that some of these old country towns, the main street has changed. It's sort of creeps along into other locations as the decades go by. So that is absolutely beautiful, and that is the old post office, 1863. So it is always worth walking around towns, not just looking at the main street, not just staying in hotels and things like that. It's lovely to go stay in accommodation that is a little out of town, where you have to walk in, or that is a little bit more community focused or locally focused, rather than a generic hotel. Same too, it's nice to walk the streets. We always find that you can see the more beautiful architecture and more history in the back streets. So this is one of the ovals. We have some homes overlooking the oval there, but I then spotted this, which is just a little distance. It's just 2 house blocks up from the post office, and here we have the All Saints Church, Newstead. It's an Anglican church. Now there's 2 here actually, so one may have been the original weatherboard, or the weatherboard may have been the original church, and then they have built it later in brick. This is a church. We're not making the same mistake that we made earlier. This is not private property, although it has a water tank at the back, which is making me very suspicious. But it did have a sign. You all saw it. If we're pulled up by anybody claiming we're on private property, you all saw the sign there. It gave us the service times of the church. So that clearly looks to me as though the white weatherboard may have been the original, and then when they have had more funds, they build in brick. That also happened in Clunes. If you have watched the Clunes video, the original church was not just a few metres away from the second church, on the same plot of land, the same religious, the same religion. It was just that one predated the other. And this happens as people, as the community or the church became wealthier. And then they kept the old church often as a town, or as a hall, as a community hall. So, I mean, there's no point destroying a building if it is functioning, and it has, it can have a purpose. Now, I don't know the age of this one, and I am trying to look for a foundation stone. It's, let's have a look. That's got a gas bottle. What would a church be doing with a gas bottle? I'm becoming nervous, everyone. I am becoming nervous, but there was a sign there, so... Okay. Actually, that front door is beautiful. Look at that. It's stepped brickwork. It's lovely. Okay. I will try and obtain some dates for you. We'll have do a bit more research. And that is an enormous... The trunk on that gum tree is enormous. That has some decent age on that. Let's have a look at that quickly. The problem with our gum trees here, for those of you not in Australia, the problems with gum trees, as lovely as they are, and they often have a good age on them, is that due to our weather with drought and sudden flooding, a lot of these gum trees suddenly drop branches and big branches. Many people have been killed here in Australia by picnicking or camping under a gum tree, and it has suddenly dropped a limb. So they can be quite dangerous. You do have to be careful, and it doesn't have to be windy either. Even on a still day like this, all of a sudden these gum trees can just drop a limb, and if you're underneath it, you're going to be very badly damaged, if not worse. Anyway, they are lovely, and I really like the age on that one. Okay, off we go to have a look at some more homes and buildings. Now, having a little walk around at the back of the church, we have just noticed a community garden. Feel free to wander in, sit and stay a while. Find a map and info on the rainwater tank. Want to pick? Join us and become a member. Dogs welcome on lead, and do pick up after them. Oh, that's super. Okay, let's have a little look. I'll try and get the gate open. Oh gosh, we have a rainwater tank and a pizza oven with some tables and chairs. My goodness, a sink. Oh, that's an old pizza oven. Oh my goodness. Okay, let's have a look. So this is for the community of Newstead and visitors. How lovely is that? We have some calendulas, there's silver beet, what else have we got there? Artichokes, the globe artichokes, and some chamomile. There's rhubarb, that's lovely. Oh my goodness, there's an apricot tree here. Wow, okay, it is winter, so obviously it is a little overgrown and weedy. Our vegetable garden is exactly the same, so I don't, oh, there's fennel. I don't blame them at all. It's just that time of year. And really in winter, a lot of us don't have time. We're working and you can't get out in the garden, so yeah, it's quite weedy, isn't it? Oh, there's some rainbow chard there. Oh gosh. Oh, and there is a waterfall with a little pond. That's a pear tree apparently. That's a pear arbour, so they're all pears there. Oh, how wonderful is that? What a lovely thing. I've noticed quite a few of our towns now are having these community gardens. It's so that people... Oh, there's kale. So that people, there's a place to be together and socialise, but also to grow food and have food without the expense of going to a supermarket, and the food is never fresh at a supermarket. So, particularly the big supermarkets, so you can come here and grab your food fresh. I think that's a wonderful idea. Wow, well done, Newstead. Okay, we shall... Oh, there is a shed up here, and I'm wondering what that's all about. Hang on, let's have a look. Oh, it's chickens! They have community chickens! Oh, how wonderful is that? Oh, the chook house. Oh, isn't that lovely? Hello, girls. Hello. Oh, wow, that is wonderful. What a great community garden. Compost there, and yeah, that is a really good little community garden. Okay, we have just discovered something that looks suspiciously like a street library, but it's not on the street. It's actually in the community garden. Now, I could be wrong here. We will have to have a good... No, it is. There are books in there. Oh my goodness. Maybe we should add to this. Oh, look at that. It's an old meat safe. Oh, we should add to this, perhaps. Okay. Take a book, swap a book. I think we might come back and oh my goodness, I'm getting old, bobbing down like that. Okay, I think we will have to come back and clean up the library and perhaps put a few books in there. I have just noticed this is a peppercorn tree. Look at the size of that trunk. Oh my goodness, that is massive. That is absolutely huge. Good grief. It's been a while, I think, since anyone's been here. Gosh. Okay. Roberts. What else have we got? Ruth Rendell. Oh, and we can put a Paul Johnson, The Golden Silence. Oh. Oh. There's a Secret Seven there. Let's take everything off the top. Just take some of the cobwebs off. Oh gosh, it's been a long time, I think. Okay, so that's it. That looks a little fuller and a little cleaner. Oh. Okay, Newstead, we hope you like your new books. Rooney taking advantage of the vegetable garden. So we were just driving slowly and we noticed this old building, which is clearly now a residence, but it is Vic Mill, 1869, and I think this may have a connection to the mill in some form or other that we saw earlier in the town centre. So I will do a little bit of research on that so that we know what the mill in the town was, but that is suggesting to me this one is was a flour mill, which is now a residence, but it has on there 1869 Vic Mill. And if we just walk down this dirt road, right next door, I'm not sure if this is a new build or it's being derelict, but it's right next door to the mill and it is in the same stone. So I don't know what's going on there. And likely we won't find out because it is a private residence, and there is all this stone here at the front, so something's happened. Perhaps there's new wire work at the top of that building, so it could very well be that they're renovating it. Anyway, this is the road that the mill is on. It's a little back road, and we thought we saw some old homes, and also there's a rosella that has just flown in front of us, and they are up in the tree. So I'm not sure that is an old home. That may have been a new build in an old style. I'll just walk down here and have a look. That is a very old home in there. That's a weatherboard, but very small cottage. Okay, let's keep going. It's always worth doing this because when you investigate and have a little poke around, so long as you're not on anybody's property or you're not upsetting anybody by walking into their property or videoing them if they don't want to be videoed, but it's always worth it because you oftentimes get more history than what you would if you research it on paper. People may stop and tell you what the history of their own home, or perhaps if their families have been in the town for generations, they can even tell you that, the town historical gossip. It's always worth it. We often find that that's how we find out more about a town. Oh, we have a pony and a sheep over here. So that's it. That is, I thought we may discover more, but that is the entire length of the laneway. Okay, on to the next street. See, it is always worth walking that little bit extra. Just up from where we've been, we find this little colonial cottage. Now, this would be very old. Clearly had a new corrugated roof at some stage, but that is old. I'm wondering, actually, when I do a little bit more research for you, I'm strongly suspecting that the town of Newstead spread out quite a bit, or the actual main road was in a different location to what it is now, because this is out of town. So this is around about 1 kilometre out of town, thereabouts, give or take a few metres. And we have another gorgeous cottage over here on its own little bit of land there, but look at this little cottage. It's absolutely beautiful, and it has what would have been perhaps a stable there, and then this little cottage here. Look at that. And it's so nice to see them well kept. Oh, obviously a new garage out the back, or new shed, but it's lovely when people take pride and they renovate and maintain the properties instead of letting them oftentimes now we find in Australia people will demolish them and put up jolly massive McMansions, as they say, but it is lovely to see that people are content with having these smaller homes. They're cheaper to heat and cool, easier to clean, and we're not destroying our history. Okay, I think this really is it now, everyone, this street. I think we're going to have to make our way to another street. Okay, let's go. So further in the back streets, again, this is why it's always worth coming into the back streets, we have the former courthouse. We spotted this from a distance, and knowing how old buildings, the little that we do, it looked like a courthouse to me. So we decided to make our way here, and I was right. It's a courthouse. And we have a blue sign. So let's have a look. 1863. And it reflects the austere public works architecture of the era. And compared to the buildings of today, I would hardly call that austere, but of course for the times it was. So the Victorian Public Works Department erected this building in 1863, the drawings being executed by John James Clark, architectural draftsman under the chief architect William Wardle. Clark, from a very young age, worked on plans for many important Victorian buildings, including the Treasury in Melbourne. And he says here, the one at Vaughan was removed in the 1900s and the other at Rutherglen. Of course, we have been to Rutherglen in the northeastern Victorian playlist that we have on the channel. You can have a look at our brief visit to Rutherglen, and as I have said to you in previous videos, we will return to all of these towns in Victoria once we have exhausted Australia. So we may not get back to them too quickly, because we want to keep bringing you new and interesting towns. But as I say, we will one day return to all of our towns and discover even more in the back streets. So that's the old courthouse, just sitting here in the middle of a sloping field. Now, Newstead is undulating. I'm not sure if you can see that in the video, but it's quite a hill there. And there's the outdoor facilities and the tennis courts, I think, there. But it's just sitting there. And this is why I think, due to the gold rush era, Newstead would have been not only much bigger and spread out, but I have a very big suspicion that Newstead has changed where its main street, or where it now is. I have a suspicion it was further out in these back streets, unless of course because it was a bigger town, these things were just naturally spread out because there wasn't enough room in the main street. That's a possibility too. So walking up this hill, we have another little cottage, a weatherboard cottage on the hill there, and walking up the dirt road, I spy another Victorian style cottage there, possibly even Edwardian. And of course the two eras really mesh in together. So sometimes with the architecture they have a blend of Victorian, Edwardian, Art Deco, and even Art Nouveau from the late 1800s. So some of these buildings can have quite a blend of those fashions, architectural fashions at the time. Okay, I don't think we're going to see too much more up this road, and I will be huffing and puffing for not much of a advantage. So perhaps I will turn back for you. There are a few other older homes here, but they're people's private homes, so we'll just leave those be and walk our way back. Again, in the back streets, we have the old Shire Hall, which was erected in 1907. Now, it is a private residence, so I won't go too far in. I'm hoping you can all see the building, the red brick building. Now, again, this gives me an indication that I may be correct that the main street wasn't where it is today. We have the Shire Hall here, which would have ordinarily been in the town centre or thereabouts. Across the way, just in the distance over there, is the Courthouse, and around the corner is where the post office was. So this was either an extremely big town or the main area or the main street has changed over the decades. So, and it really is leading me to believe one of those two, because you don't normally have a Shire Hall or a courthouse. What would that be? The main street is just ahead of us, and you're probably looking at around 300 to 500 metres away. So I'm thinking that there were a lot more public buildings and a lot more, or that the main street has definitely changed. There's another old home there, a little Victorian perhaps. And this is the church that we walked around earlier, and we won't tell anybody because it is a private residence now, and I walked in there thinking that it was public, but we won't make that a public knowledge. Okay, let's go on. We have just driven over the Loddon River, which I will film for you shortly. The town of Newstead, as it stands now, sits over the Loddon River, so there's a part of the town on either side of the river, and we have come across this butter factory, which was established in 1904, and a guard dog who, hope I'm not going to get bitten here, that would be awful. So this is the Newstead butter factory. Oh, don't bite, good boy. So this is now once again a private residence. But it's evident that Newstead was quite a big town. And the fact that it has a few mills, whether they're flour, well, the Bluestone mill that we saw would have been a flour mill, but I will confirm that for you. And the Giovanni mill may have been another flour mill or an outlet for the flour mill. I don't think, having seen the town almost complete now, I think I was incorrect in saying that it was a fabric mill or a thread mill. I think it may very well have had something to do with a flour mill. Oh gosh. Now, see, I say again, everyone, this is why you need to walk around and go into some places where the average person doesn't go, because now we have been into Newstead many times, and you do tend to stay, if you're not careful, you do tend to stay, you may have a coffee in the town, in the main street. But if you walk these back streets, which we often do, but we haven't been to this one, which, as I say, is over the river, so it's not as it's not advertised that you can come over here and that there are things here. Now, that is the Newstead Hotel. It says closed. I don't know whether that means it's closed permanently or whether it's just closed for now, but you can see There it is there. It may no longer be an actual hotel, it may be a coffee shop actually. And then we have this beautiful parkland with established trees, so it clearly has been here for some time. And there are some lovely buildings over here. We'll have to keep walking. Oh, I know what this is. I'm well aware of what this is. This is the railway. Yes. This is the railway. We have been down here previously. And you can see some lovely old cottages just there, right in front of the screen. Very tiny cottages. That's two cottages together, sharing the same wall, the same dividing wall. Yes, here we go. This is the railway line. So I'll just show you. There's an old church over there as well. So that's where we've just come from, along there. And that was the butter factory. And then this is the railway line. Yay! No longer used, I think. I'm fairly sure it's no longer used. But we'll just go and have a look. I'm fairly sure they have a little garden here as well. It may not be a community garden, but it is well kept. Maybe a museum now, actually, from memory. It has been a little while since I've been here to this particular part of Newstead. Let's have a look. Yes, it's really well maintained here. A rotary washing line. Unusual. And I'm fairly certain this is not it's the Arts Hub. I was going to say it's not a private residence. This is the art community. So this is the old railway station for Newstead. Let's go up here and have a look. These buildings are just absolutely beautiful. So there we go. There is the old railway line. It looks as though it has been used, but I'm fairly sure that as you go in the distance there, just where that white building is, which looks like it could be a church, and where you've just seen those vehicles driving, that crosses the road, and I know that there's no railway line there, so it's clearly disused, but it's well maintained. The track is definitely well maintained there, which is unusual. So here we have what would have been the beautiful railway station. And there are public conveniences there and some other sort of shedding. That may have been the railway master's offices there, with the little awning over the window, or over the door. There it is. So, and this would have been likely the shedding for grain, or perhaps for the flour, actually, now that we know that there were flour mills here. They would have stored the bags of flour in this shedding, and then transported it by rail from here. I would say that is being used for some sort of community events, because it's really well maintained. And we have here a more contemporary home, probably 50s or 60s, that may have been the railmaster's original home. Okay, now over the way. I actually forgot that this existed in Newstead, to be honest. It has been a while since I've been on this side of the Oh, we have been on this side, but it's been en route to other locations, so we haven't taken the time to divert around this section of the town. Let's have a look at some of these things along here. Oh, that may be a private residence now, even though it was clearly a church at some stage. Let's have a look. And we have the War Memorial as well behind us, which we'll go to. Let's have a look at this. What does it say here? Oh, maybe it is still a working church. Let's have a look. St Anne's Church, Catholic Parish of Castlemaine. And I think it's still a working church. The lovely old heritage gate. We'll just open that up. Contact the parish priest. Yeah, so it is a working church. Let's have a look. It's an old weatherboard. I may have to do some paperwork research on this, because I don't think it has a foundation stone, because it doesn't seem to have stone footings. So unless it has a blue sign that will give us the age of the church, it may be that I will have to have a look in some archives. Nope, there is nothing to give us the age of this church. That's okay. I will try and let's have a look at maybe on this. No, just gives us mass times. Okay, so that's not going to give us anything. Oh, no, fibs. It was established in 1854. There you go. Established in 1854. So, okay. We will just walk over here to this parkland. I'll shut the gate behind me. And there is a war memorial. Right there, I'm having trouble with this gate. Right there in front is the railway station. And Newstead is quite unique in that way that it really is. It was at one stage obviously a very big town, because it is spread out across the river, across the Loddon River, and it is spread out. There's distances to walk, so between each sort of public building. So it must have been a really big town at one stage. And of course with the gold rush, that's exactly what happened with these towns. Okay, so here's our war memorial, which we always like to visit and give thanks to. All of those who have sacrificed their lives so that we could be free and in a democratic society. And then we have a children's playground and a barbecue area there, the pub, the Railway Hotel over the way. So there it is. Okay, on to our next scene of interest. the Loddon River in Newstead, which separates the town. I don't know if you can see it there in the middle of the screen, right in front of us. There are stumps, and I'm guessing that was the original bridge, which has obviously since degraded, and we now have this huge concrete bridge. Sadly, not as attractive as a little wooden bridge would have been, but obviously much stronger and durable. So this is over there is the main part of the town, and then we drive across this bridge, and the railway line is over this side. Not far out of town, as we're making our way to another location to show you next week, we have noticed not only these huge, beautiful gums. I mean, they're just stunning. They're very majestic on the side of the road, and I don't know if you can make it out on the video, but the width, the girth of the trunk is just phenomenal. I mean, they're just spectacular. But what I did want to show you as well is the Loddon River clearly floods. And in this area, it floods. This notification is telling us it floods to 2 metres on this road. And as we were driving along, we noticed that there were, right along this road, so not quite, maybe a kilometre out of town, these signs were on the side of the road everywhere. So this is clearly a flood area, and we did notice near some of the flour mills, the Bluestone flour mill, we noticed an embankment. And that was running, the embankment was like a man-made levee that was running alongside the Loddon River, obviously to alleviate any flooding in the town. Just goes to show you, I mean, Australia is very dry. Well, this part is very dry, but when it floods, even at our property, when it rains, it really rains, and flooding is not unusual across our roads and our property. So that just shows you we're on our way now to another location, which we think you will see possibly next week. I'm fairly sure you will see the next location next week, but we're on our way and we're leaving Newstead behind. Okay. If I don't see you before, happy reading, safe travels, and don't forget we will have our book competition as well. If you watch the book recommendation videos, the details will be in those videos. But it will encompass, the book competition encompasses information from the travel videos and the book recommendation videos. So yes, happy reading, safe travels. Bye for now.